everybody, welcome back to Protect and Persevere. It's been a while since I put out any content or videos. I got some more stuff coming down the pipe, but it's been super busy. I know everybody is, but stay tuned for that. And also my Instagram, I'm back up there being more active. But today I'm going to be talking about my aerial denial weapon / light support weapon. And I didn't come up with this concept, it's been around forever, and there's been a lot of cool people that have been putting out content that kind of got me into actually kind of building out my own. And also shout out to Focus Trip for actually building the upper for me. But now before I jump into all that and why I kind of built this out and why I did and what the use case would be, let's go ahead and kind of talk about how we got here in the current state of affairs. A couple guys I want to talk about first off that kind of got me kind of inspired into this is first off Alpha Charlie Concepts, maker of UW gear, makes really good stuff. And also I think several years ago he made a kind of budget poor man's IAR build or aerial denial weapon. Also Cousin Dick on YouTube. I don't know if his video is still up, but he did a pretty good one. And Brent0331 has talked about it a little bit. Night Fighter on Instagram. He's been pushing a lot of the kind of auto rifleman content, and there's a few other people, Blue Gen Operator, and several others that I'm probably forgetting. And so like I was saying, this is kind of a twofold weapon for me or tool that first off, like I was saying, aerial denial weapon. So denying people areas of opportunity and areas of approach. So whether that's major bodies of water, farmland, denying them opportunity to where you live. So defensive, definitely a defensive tool first and foremost. And then also areas of approach, so like major roads, highways, bridges, kind of open areas. So like if you live in between like mountains or something and there's like one valley in there, that'd be a major avenue of approach. Just being able to control and deny that area to bad people. That you are first and foremost pulling security, and you're also observing. So I feel like if stuff actually does go down, no matter what it is, the first and foremost thing you're going to be doing is pulling security for your family. Whether that's, your driveway, whatever, you're going to be doing some form of security and observation. And that excels at that because you might be like, well, what's the difference between that and the GPR? Because they both deny area in a way. But one does a little bit better job than the other. So why does it excel better at it? Well, to kind of go into that, what is the gun originally kind of created, or at least a concept for it? So this kind of goes back into, heck, even back to World War I or some of the earlier wars, is that it is a light support weapon, and that it is able to sustain a higher rate of accurate fire, accurate being the key word. It's light enough to patrol and move with. It's not, like a heavy machine gun that has to be like mounted on a tripod at all times or just carried out and then mounted. It is something that is essentially like any other rifle in the squad. You can carry it and move it around and interact and stuff. Or even at the very least, be able to move it to a strategic position to then do your aerial denial. Also, light support weapons should have the same ammo and mags as the squad, in my opinion. So that way, if this is the most devastating weapon in the squad, your squad mates should be able to help supply you ammo. So if everyone just has the same ammo and the same mags and they can just start throwing you stuff or carry more ammo for you, it just makes sense. And then also, it can support or act as, in a pinch, a designated marksman rifle. So it has a lot of very similar aspects to a DMR, in my opinion. Just it is more tailored to one aspect. However, if you do have a designated marksman, I feel like, in my lowly opinion, this could help support that. They're taking very accurate precision shots on maybe high value targets and whatnot, and you're spotting first and foremost through your optic or whatever, because you can help call his splashes if he misses, where he needs to hold on the fly, and then at the same time you're shooting beside him at just kind of what you'd be more designated for, mass people and whatnot. However, they both go kind of hand in hand and kind of, they're like peanut butter and jelly. They just kind of go together. So is that a lot of military doctrines talk about kind of like the final circle, in that in a defensive plan, you kind of go back and back and back, and you try to defend and all these sectors, but eventually you're going to come down to a last stand somewhere, and you have that your compass degrees of like your sector of fire, and that your final sector of fire, that might be the better word for it, is this, and that it'd be ideal to have the most devastating weapon be in that final, being able to have that in your final circle of defense. And it could even just be said that maybe you would want this set up, overwatching a major highway, but also if stuff eventually did reach the homestead or the farm or whatever, the sanctuary, this would be at the gates defending it. And then also from a defensive standpoint, this gun would stay in the fight the longest. Not only would being able to put that many rounds down range, but also it's going to keep its accuracy higher because of the certain parts and whatnot that I'll get into. Now, going back into patrolling with this, the main thing about it is that let's say you're not even expecting contact, but you're just patrolling and you're doing reconnaissance. Well, if you do get into contact, you're going to have to fire and maneuver. Well, this setup can, like I said, put up a high rate of sustained accurate fire, and to suppress and keep whoever's trying to kill you, keep their heads down, so that your teammates can move either towards them to destroy them or run away. But this would be a great defensive or a great suppressive weapon in that role, in a patrol or reconnaissance, or whatever fancy word you want to say. Recce. But and then the third way to utilize this, and like I was saying, I do think there are certain situations where you might want to be offensive, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong or evil. And let's say you got intel that there's bad marauders, raiders, and they're like raping, murdering, and all that, and stealing from people. And let's say you've been doing kind of observation on them, and they're going to be passing through a certain area, and you kind of talk about it with your community, and you're like, hey, we could set up an ambush, or maybe you happen to be in the same area of them, you're aware they're in an area, but you see them first, and you can establish a hasty ambush, or like I was saying, a deliberate ambush. But if you're going to be conducting an ambush, kind of like I was saying, the defensive side, having the most devastating weapon kind of up front in the best kind of area of approach, let's say they're approaching from whatever, this would kind of be the initiator to that, or at least it's going to be the most devastating thing in that, to end it quickly or decisively. So that's where it kind of goes into what's the difference between this and a GPR. Well, this would also, in that circumstances, being able to set up in an ambush and being able to lay down a lot of high rate of fire, even if it's just single fire, that could help better win an ambush than just a regular GPR or rifleman, whatever word acronym. So before I go into the breakdown, I kind of want to look at some kind of well-tailored and made-up systems that are already out there. So the first one that was kind of on the market, or at least I was aware of, was the Klein machining uppers that Brent 0331 kind of reviewed and talked about. Just heavy barreled, heavy duty, very like long AR uppers Red Right Hand is another one that they make a lot of great stuff. Not only is it very high quality, but also kind of ingenious. Some of the heat mitigation stuff, they have some really cool like technology going into it. Kind of the same thing, a little expensive. Not that both them and Klein aren't worth it. There's also like a third one, but that was way more expensive than the other two, and that's like the Fight Light Upper. That's adult fed. Like, not also very cool, but just, yeah, no, I don't think it's very practical. If you have the money, go for it, but I just kind of want to go my poor man's version. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So going into the actual breakdown of this build, starting up front, we just have a regular A2 flash hider, which is honestly probably one of the best muzzle devices, especially for this build. Very minimal flash, especially with a 20-inch barrel. I could potentially see running this with a suppressor, but I need to get another muzzle device for that, but a flash hider does like 90% of the job. So the heart of this build is actually a Ballistic Advantage DMR barrel, which is essentially just a really thick H-bar barrel. It's non-stainless, 1-7 twist, just regular barrel, but it's a H-bar profile essentially. So that is kind of the heart of it. It'll stand up to heat a lot better. It'll retain its accuracy even when it gets hot to a higher standard than like a government profile. It'll be more rigid, all those good things. So going from there, I also have just a regular gas tube, which I thought about going with the like heat resistant one, but it's kind of like a budget setup. So if I was really concerned about that, I would probably look into a better gas tube, but it's whatever. And then I have a Midwest Industries quad rail, which I just think first off looks super clean and cool. Haven't ever really tried a quad rail. It is heavy, but besides from looking cool, it's also very strong and durable, rigid, all those things. But yeah, there's that. I just have a regular Magpul bipod invert grip. I thought about going with a metal bipod, but this is actually not only more affordable, but it's a lot lighter up front. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn this dude around. For light, I have a Surefire Vampire on an Aerosocket body on a LaRue QD mount, which I actually really like this kind of whole package because it essentially just anything that needs both white light or IR, I can just slap it on something with Picatinny, and it does give me a somewhat usable package for white light and IR, night vision stuff. So, and if I wanted to take it off during the daytime, if I don't really need it, I can just quickly take it off and then put it back on when I need it. So going back from there, I have this cheap Picatinny Swiss Arca mount that I use to mount on my tripod. I think it's kind of important for this kind of build to be able to mount it on a tripod. So going back from there, it's just a regular, I can't remember the actual company focus strip used for the upper parts, but pretty stock, regular good stuff. Same with the lower, pretty bare bones, and I'm actually still running an A2 stock and grip. This currently isn't really like a DMR like build, it's just like a support weapon, so it doesn't need Gucci stuff, but honestly just this furniture is fine. And I'm also running a just regular kind of duty trigger. I have thought about getting a spicier setup, but that's more a future thing. So this optic package is an old gen Primary Arms 5X Prism with a just the regular mount, and on top of it is a Holosun 509T, which is actually on a Red Arrow Concept adapter plate that he hand makes and replaces just the Picatinny, so he can actually mount a 509T very low to this, which is very clean. Get you a better look at that. It's very low on there because it's already kind of a tall optic, but that actually just sits very well. So yeah, I have a pretty good 5X with some BDCs and some wind holes. Honestly, doesn't really even need illumination. But yeah, I have a good 5X with some BDCs and some wind holes. Honestly, doesn't really even need illumination. and it's edged so it'll always be there. And like I said, it's pretty durable. And then I have the 1X just red dot on top. So I have some magnification. I have 5X and a 1X, which also the 1X is not only important for having a kind of close-up shooting solution, but also it is my only night vision shooting solution, which is kind of passive plus aiming with some IR illumination from the Vampire. Alright, so last thing I want to talk about is kind of supporting equipment for this setup. So first thing, obviously you're going to need a lot of mags to kind of fill the light support role. I think these coupled just regular 30 round magazines is probably the best all-around solution for the average Joe. I know the D60s are cool and whatnot, but I've heard some people say they have reliability issues, and also they're super expensive. And I'd rather have just a butt ton of 30 rounders and then a handful of these coupled ones, not only because they're affordable and all that stuff I just said, but also I can store these a lot easier. I could, you know, once this goes empty, I can have a lot easier time shoving this, whether it's just down my blouse, in a cargo pocket, dump pouch. I know those are cool these days, but just having a lot of magazines and having some coupled ones, or even the 40 rounders, whatever you want to go with. Magazines and ammo is probably the most important setup for this. Like, if you couldn't afford, I don't know, like this flashlight or something, but you could get more ammo and mags, that would be the priority. Also, like I was saying, from an aerial denial standpoint, being able to observe and spot whatever and identify where you're going to shoot at is probably important. I'm not just trying to, you know, destroy Grandpa Joe because he got drunk again and wandered into the cornfield or something. Like, I'm not just going to drop somebody, you know, or whatever. I would like to be able to identify at least their good, bad, or at the very least just see something and identify it's actually a person and not just a cow or something. But yeah, having a spotting scope. This is not a Gucci one. I'll probably go into a breakdown of all this later. And then also a tripod, not only for the spotting scope, and use the tripod to then the gun. This kind of goes hand in hand. And then lastly, well, not lastly, because there's probably other stuff I didn't talk about. Then also observation binos and rangefinders and all that cool stuff. But also entrenching tools, sandbags, whatever you want to set up for a defensive position could also kind of go hand in hand with that. Well, I hope y'all like this video. Please leave any comments or questions. What do you think about this setup? And stay safe out there, stay frosty, and God bless.